Protoss on this tighter, smaller map?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, especially since MC is picking this map, we've seen players really pick maps that they know they are amazing on. And that's kind of the point of having a map choice, is so you can give yourself, since you're behind, you can give yourself at least a little advantage on the home territory. And of course, I mean, if you compare this map, if you were to overlay it over the last map that we've seen, the center is not as wide open. There's going to be more obstacles there, and you know, the Protoss is going to be able to secure that natural quite easily. There's not as wonky of a positioning where you have to do your wall in there, so it doesn't delay your units trying to get to your third. So I think that MC, you know, compared to that last map, is going to be feeling pretty comfortable here moving forward.
Let's see how Stephano deals with the very narrowly positioned bases, as he has the cutest droopy dog in the whole wide world. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going into game 2 of Stephano versus MC.
All right, so spawning up on the top left side. He's had a rough start again to this tournament, and he's currently down 0-1. If you want him to make a comeback, tie this up, and force it to additional games, here's a hint I do. Give a cheer for SK's MC.
And down in the bottom right, showing in seeming invincibility in Zerg versus Protoss. Can he continue his tear to the finals? It is Millennium Stephano.
And I just want to say, Sean, in watching both of these players play throughout the entire tournament, I've seen a lot more MC games than Stephano, but in the games I've seen of Stephano just seems to be on point for this tournament. There's very rarely a situation where it's like, oh, why did Stephano do that? His micro was a little bit off, whereas MC, that there have been some curious micro decisions. Now, in that last game, I think a lot of it was Stephano spotting that pylon, delaying that warp in, and kind of forcing the retreat of those units. But I mean, MC, he's going to have to play absolutely perfect here, which is not necessarily the case throughout the entire tournament. He didn't play perfect through the pool play. He still made it through. But in this series, I mean, you're eliminated. You have 5 games to try and get 3 wins, and he's not off to the greatest start.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a little bit, you know, confidence shattering to lose the first game in a series, but when you have a best of 5, you do have a little bit of cushion. Again, this is a best of 5 in the semifinals, so right now MC has gotten the chance to scout his opponent. It is a 2-player map, so he has not yet built that forge, and wow, that's really interesting, going for the forge first. I mean, you have plenty of time to go Nexus first in this situation.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually Zerg players don't go for that Forge first, because if the Zerg opponent has a spawning pool first build, say not going for a super, super early third base, I mean, you can't really cannon rush deny either the natural or the third base. The only thing that cannon's going to be doing is preventing Zerglings from delaying your expansion, but I feel like MC is just delaying his own expansion by getting that Forge out so early here. So maybe he just wants to play it a little bit safe, because in the early game, it does allow you to prevent those early Zerglings from sneaking by, but I just don't know here, Sean.
Well, I mean, the truth is, no matter how efficient or inefficient one of your build orders is, if you are very, very used to it and all of its timings, it is better to stick to that than to do some sort of crazy adjustment in the middle of a tournament. Stephano will always keep you on your feet with these huge mid-game pushes, so making sure that you are comfortable is far more important than making sure that you are playing with 1% better timing.
It does look like Stephano moving out that drone to the third base. And I got to say, I look at what Stephano's doing with those Lings right now. He's scouting behind the mineral line immediately. I've seen a lot of Zerg players lose to a cannon rush, not at the natural, but indeed at their third base. He looks around there, and look, he's also looking at every corner of the map. He's queued up a bunch of different commands for this Zergling, telling him to look around. And that's exactly what you have to do. You don't want to be taken by surprise. And also, MC or any Protoss really can place a pylon down there very early. Even if you don't decide to use it right away, it's always there. It's always a threat, and that third base is always vulnerable.
I mean, there are some issues with just the huge spaces, but I mean, Stephano just super on point, checking all of those out. Now we see MC going for the Zealot Cybernetics core. No second gas anywhere. And this could very, very well be just a 7 to 8 gate. Huge push. It's all going to come down to whether or not this +1 comes up right now. Spend the next little bit of gas on that warp gate research.
It can be very, very tempting to go for a mass warp gate play, especially when the Zerg player is going for that third base right around the 4 or 5 minute mark, because, you know, the Zerg player has to spread themselves thin. If they start making spine crawlers, all of a sudden they have less drones. And where do you put the spine crawler? Because all of your bases are basically somewhere that you can attack. So it comes down to the control. And right now we do see warp gate being chronoed out right there. We still don't see that second gas there. So, Sean, is it
wow.
still looking like he's going to be adding on gateways, or what do you think?
I actually think he's probably going to do a very standard 5 chrono on this cybernetics core. Lets you get out a ton of gateway units very quickly, but instead of going for the more, instead of going for the more typical 1 to 4 gates, looks like he'll be going for the 7-gate warp in. And that is just so ridiculously expensive on all the resources that you just can't get a +1 upgrade. You can't get a second gas. You got to start cutting probes. MC is doing the 2-base all-in, he said in the interview.
Yeah, he did that, attempting it with the 3-base, now down to the 2-base. Now, I'm kind of curious, Sean, as, you know, if you're going to be having this many gateways, do you really just stay on the 1 gas the entire time? I mean, what kind of units can you get off just that 1 gas?
You're going to have 1 nice round of Stalkers, just like with a 1-base 4-gate, but for the most part, it is all Zealots. And holy cow, is that an early warp gate? Oh my god, it's going to be coming out a full 30 seconds earlier than you'd normally predict. And Stephano's supply blocked after losing that Overlord.
Now, he did spot the pylon right away, so he knows that something's amiss. I think he saw the second pylon there as well. There's the big round of Stalkers you were talking about, Sean, and a couple of Zealots are mixed in. The attack is going to commence here immediately. Stephano, does he have a Roach Horn? Yes, he does. The Roaches are indeed on the way here. Now, Stephano, should he try and sacrifice this expansion, or does he absolutely need to save it?
I definitely think he's going to try to sacrifice it. The only thing he's trying to do is get those drones out of that position, rallying everything back, trying to make sure that he can maybe pick off some of these units from the back. Can he rejoin with Roaches from both sides? Because there are going to be no force fields. He's going to try to kite those Zealots as long as he can with the Roaches, but it's the overwhelming numbers that are going to be MC's edge.
Yeah, Stephano definitely needs to retreat here and find the perfect engagement. He does decide to engage right here. The Roaches are working on these Zealots, but you know, the roles have kind of reversed. The Zealots are a little bit sacrificial. It's the Stalkers that you need to get rid of here. But remember, the Zerg playstyle is to continually throw units at your opponent, although right now MC has done huge waves of warp-ins here. Another big Zealot warp-in, and it does look like he is going to deny this expansion. Those drones will safely escape here. But right now we see Stephano desperately throwing down some spine crawlers here. And Sean, if he can fall back and hold at the natural, will he be behind?
I actually think he'll be a little bit ahead if he can hold this off. He has the layer tech up. His opponent hasn't even taken another geyser yet, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. All those drones are going to have to step into the fray, and these spines might just tip the balance.
Force field could be thrown down on the ramp, which I think would all but surely end this. And there's the Grants. GG. That means we are forcing it to an additional game. It is going to be tied up here 1-1. Wow, Sean.
A really impressive all-in right there from MC. And, you know, again, no shame in it in the slightest. He just said, yeah, I'm going to win with 2-base all-in, 3-base all-in, and they're already resetting the series back to a best-of-3.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a great build, and it's got to be so frustrating for Stephano, where he had such good decision-making in the first game. He was locking down the attacks, the drops, the counter-attacks, and then when the Colossus came out, he was completely prepared for that. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself in a second game where, you know, MC is able to win it relatively quickly. He didn't tech up or anything like that. And we'll see if that throws Stephano off a little bit, but he's definitely not known for going on tilt or anything like that. I think that's a build he's gone up against a multitude of times. Getting lots of gateways has been popular since you could make gateways. And so I think he'll just mentally prepare for the next game and maybe scout a little bit earlier with Overlords or something like that.
Yeah, you know, just even getting the Overlord in and just monitoring those gas geyser timings. I mean, if you're starting to get a little bit farther down the road and they still aren't taking gas, you might just want to sacrifice that 3rd base very early and just rely on 2 bases, pull all your drones back. There's a lot of interesting base sacrificing that you can do as Zerg. I mean, now that we are reset to a best-of-3, I just wanted to come back and talk a little bit about the prizing for this event.